This is Brownie's Podcast!
Hey, we're back! We did it! 2024, it's Brownie's Podcast. Jonathan Brown's here, Campbell Brown's here, me, your host, Deano, is here. If you're new to the podcast, it's us three and our degenerate group of unskilled workers talking footy every single week. Coming up, we've got Avocado Guy, one of the biggest hits we've seen, and the bloody season hasn't even started. We're going to discuss if your team is going to shit the bed this year, and if we're talking Eagles, the answer is no. Plenty more, but first, what the hell have you been doing, you psychopath?
I went into Anaconda yesterday to buy the kids pool floaties, and unbelievably, the only pool floaties left to still buy were giant eggplant floaties.
Jeez.
Now, obviously, I was in dad mode and was not switched on, Deano. So you can imagine the looks I received from my wife, Kylie, and from my 14-year-old daughter, Olivia, who's just starting to push into those sort of dangerous areas. And said, Dad, do you know what eggplant means?
Will you kids get outside and play with your giant inflatable dick? Get out of my hand!
Mate, it looked hilarious. So then we took them out to the rock pools. They were the three kids floating down the creek in these 2-metre giant eggplant floaties.
This is bad parenting, Campbell.
Oh, it's bad. I've got an inflatable poo.
Oh, that's nice.
Which Boston jumps on.
That's tasteful.
Yeah.
Well, is it?
You were at Taylor Swift. We're not going to bang on about Taylor Swift too much because I think we're all Swifted out.
Deano, you were below me. So I was hoping to go down there, but I was worried about some of your friends and some of the people you're going to be hanging around. I didn't want to take my daughter down to be... Yeah, given the wrong influence.
I resent your stupid words. Did you see what he this is actually really heartwarming, man. This beautiful big lug nuts got full tailored out. The glitter on the face. It was beautiful, man.
It was sensational. I was so excited when I came in here to do some pre-production for the podcast a couple of weeks ago. One of our friends in here, Deano, just slid a couple of Taylor Swift tickets my way.
Isn't that nice? Just freebies.
Yeah, no.
While everyone else is lining up and online for hours,
exactly
paying exorbitant amounts of money, he just gets slipped a couple of freebies.
Mate, I did a lot of hard work at this radio station for a long time.
Hard to prove, mate. Hard to prove.
Anyway,
to Jonathan, things just come to him.
Mate, it was good. I tell you, turned up there. I was a bit reluctant at first, but walking in, I must admit, I got swept up by it. I had all these friendship bracelets on. I'd ready for it on my T-shirt. I had face paint on. I was right into it.
You had CTE on another one.
Yeah, I had 43 songs, though. And I did my best. I had to go home and get live and then fly back down to Melbourne. And I thought, I'm going to have a crack at trying to learn as many songs as I can.
Yes.
Mate, about half an hour into the flight, I thought, I'm no chance.
I've never seen anything like it. The Taylor Swifties and the Wristies and everything they were doing. I can only imagine it was Rolling Stones, Beatles-esque back in the day, but now with social media.
Yeah.
It was mind-blowing. People, grown men, little kids, like the demographic, she covers everyone.
How would you be if you were Pink in the zeitgeist?
Oh, she was forgotten.
Yes.
She was forgotten, man. She flies around a stadium like Peter Pan.
Yeah.
And no one mentioned it.
It's so opposite, isn't it, of what Taylor does? Because Taylor just, the stage was long. It's about 100 metres long.
Pink works harder.
She does work hard. Although I must admit, I was starting to feel for Taylor's feet.
Oh, yeah?
Mate, the amount of walking she does up and down that runway with those high heels on.
That's a good point.
She's nearly a billionaire. I don't feel sorry for any part of her body.
You don't wear heels like John and I. You don't know the pain.
Yes, I did. When I did Lady Gaga in the Players Review.
Good calves.
Big black stilettos on.
Good calves.
It's hard to walk.
I've got an apology to make too. I'm sure he listens to our podcast. But this young fella was sitting in the same row.
Yeah.
And he was there with his girlfriend. So he's probably about 20, 21 years old.
Yeah.
And he noticed that I was having a couple of beers. And as the day went on, because I needed something to get myself through the 3.5 hours being surrounded by teenage girls. Yeah. And so he leaned over and said, Brownie, would you like a couple of Carlton Drafts?
That's good of him.
And I said, absolutely I would. I said, while you're at it, get 2 each. Oh. And then we don't have to go back to the bar.
Yep.
So this young fella, he's probably an apprentice. Yeah. He's gone down and got his couple of Carlton Drafts.
Would have been $50 or something.
About $50 I would have thought.
At least.
at least. And then I'm starting to feel the guilt up. So I thought, it's getting late in the concert. I'm going to have to work my way quickly through these Callan drafts and then get down to the bar and obviously repay the favour.
Yeah, to be a good person.
Be a good person, because being the Callan draft ambassador, I don't want to be getting accused of being a tighter. So, mate, I finished these 2 cans. I said to the young bloke, 2 more. And he goes, yeah, sure. I whipped downstairs to the bar. Yeah. The bar shut.
Or was it? This apprentice is going, I don't know if it was shut.
It's cost him a half a week's worth of wages.
That's a good question. Hard to prove.
I know. I reckon he timed it to perfection.
Mate.
No, yeah, and you should have seen this kid's face when I delivered the news that the bar was shut. So, and then I'm thinking, mate, he's gone back and told all his mates, can you believe Brownie, who's the draft ambassador, has made me go and buy 2
Didn't fulfil his end of the shout.
That's the worst feeling.
Well, how do I not have a gold card?
It's fair.
Well, even if you did, man, the bar was closed. It was out of your control, John.
Good answer, Deano.
So you're not a bad guy. It's not your fault.
I'll sleep tonight.
One more thing on you, Bam Bam, your son. I love him. I miss him. He doesn't live near me anymore. Give me an update real quick.
He's going good. He's what's he doing at the moment? He's boxing. I just wrote him down. Yeah, so this is what we did yesterday: boxing, wakeboarding, mud crabbing, fishing, golfing, go-karting, skimboarding. A little bit of touch and discus training.
What is this normal, dog?
No, it's not normal, but
That's
it's great.
He
He likes to spread himself, around, and he'll be good at all of them.
It's the adventures of Jack Brown.
It says to me, Jonathan doesn't like being around the rest of the family.
That's
what it says.
The girls said the other day, though, his 2 sisters. Jack's getting a bit of a reputation at school.
What?
Look, he keeps hitting him up to FaceTime. Girls, each night. And I asked the girls the other day about this, and one of his sisters said, Dad, Jack's getting a bit of a reputation as a bit of a bit of a player.
Really? A Casanova?
Mate, he's already got the rep in grade 6.
I love that kid, man. He had more balls than in terms of that stuff. I'd get so nervous and sweaty palms. Yeah. This kid is a confident...
Well, you're still nervous, at this age.
I'm still a virgin.
Mate, he really...
Yeah.
We should unpack that.
That's fine. Dog! I'll go first because there's nothing compared to you. Went to Perth, went to Esperance.
Nice.
Took the family on a boat.
Love that.
And while we're out on the ocean, some dolphins came and swam next to us. And I looked at those dolphins and they said in their own language that the eagles are going to make 8.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, no chance. That's not what a dolphin said, asshole.
What do you feel about the Harley Reid situation over there?
What about it?
Is everyone talking about Harley Reid over there?
Mate, you have no idea. It's ludicrous. That poor kid. I say poor kid. He might be enjoying this.
Yeah.
Because he's from the country in Victoria, right? Victoria?
Yeah.
So he's
Tongala.
He's a Tony boy. Pang used to play for Tongala.
Yeah.
So he's gone to essentially a city. Perth's and they're treating him like George Clooney. That's a weird reference.
I think he'd be enjoying it at this early stage of his career.
Maybe
down the track it might be a bit
My mail is it's hard for him to go out now.
It is,
he
man.
Doesn't go out in Perth itself.
Extraordinary.
He hasn't played an official game.
Yeah.
Cuzzy, well, I think we might get Cuzzy on the show.
Yeah, let's get him. He's dancing with the stars.
He's the one person that can tell us what Perth is like if you're that one guy.
Yeah.
And Juddy, but then he left, you know what I mean? Got out of there. But
that's right. All right, dog, let's go, man.
Oh, look, I went over to Argentina. Obviously, had an attempt at climbing Mount Aconcagua, which had been 12 months in the making.
One of the great mountains.
It is one of the great mountains. It's just under 7,000 metres.
Yes.
It's the tallest mountain in the Americas, one of the 7 summits. Very, very difficult. There's a 30% success rate.
With your vaping schedule, was this a smart decision?
I got off the vapes in the months leading up to it,
professional.
which was good. So actually quite a humorous event happened while I was there. We're at base camp, and I was sitting around with a couple of guys from England and Norway, and they got out some equipment and started solar charging their phones, right? And I was sitting there reading a Kindle.
And how'd you go without the phone, by the way?
Fine.
Really?
Yeah, pretty good.
That's a surprise to me.
It was a good time to be just over there and shutting things down.
How does one gamble without a phone?
No, I got a few bets on. And so I'm sitting there reading this book on the Kindle, The Tattoo Artist of Auschwitz, and
I read that. It's a great book.
Great book. I'm quite engrossed in it. The sun had come out. I'm seeing these guys solar charge their laptops and their mobile phones, and I'm reading the Kindle, and I'm on 13%. And an hour goes by. I keep reading, and use the Kindle. You turn the page, and I go back into the tent, and I say to the guy that owns the Kindle, Riley, I said, "Mate, did you know that this Kindle is solar charged?" And he looked at me and said, "No, it's not." I said, "Yeah, mate. Yeah, I was sitting out there with those guys, and they were solar charging their phones and everything, and this is 100% solar charged." He said, "Brownie, it isn't." I said, "No, it is, because I sat out there and I started reading. It was on 13%, and then when I've come in here right now, it's on 27%." He said, "Mate, that's the book completion." I had absolutely no idea. So that's one of the dumber things that I've ever done. I want to ask this question
You
to
beautiful moron.
I want to ask this question to the degenerates, because
Hello to the degenerates.
Yeah.
I am staunch in the fact that this isn't my fault. I need your help. Just before Christmas, I was walking with Boston through Eastland. We were going to go see Trolls, the movie, right?
Good film.
And before we went up the escalators to see Trolls, there was a shoe shop on the right. And Boston sort of went running up to the window, and he goes, Daddy, I really like those shoes." So they were a red pair of shoes. I said, "Oh, mate, if you like them, we'll go in and we'll try them on, and maybe we can buy them, Yeah. So we go in, I try them. It fits, you get your thumb, you push the toe. Fits, okay. The lady comes over, she says, "Oh, would you like these shoes?" I said, "Yep, that'd be fantastic. We'll take these."
Yeah.
Right? She grabs them, she boxes them, she walks up to the counter, I pay, go up and see Trolls. Think nothing of it. That's a normal process of purchasing something, right? We get home, Boston goes, "Dad, I want to try on these brand new shoes that I got," right? Had laces and everything. I said, "Beautiful, go try them on." So he's put them on. He goes outside for a run. He was dead set, running like he had knocked knees, like an unusual gait.
Yeah.
I said, "How they feel?" He says, "Oh, yeah, they're a bit uncomfortable." But I said, "You'll break them in. That's what happens with new shoes. They sometimes feel a bit..." Anyway,
blisters on the toes.
I put them on the table.
Yes.
And I was off doing my own thing. And Jess had come home. She looked at the box, and I'd bought 2 right feet. And not only that, I bought 2 right feet, but 2 wrong sizes as well. Right? Is that my fault, or is that the lady's fault?
Hey, son, they'll feel good soon. Just
Hey, you break him in. You'll be right.
Surely that's not my
Bit of
fault.
Mel Brown love there.
Hey, it is not your fault.
How
No.
can you
No,
stuff up
congratulations.
a Christmas present so
Nah.
good? 2 right feet and 2 wrong sizes. Anyway, I'm yet to take them back, but I will. I was ropeable.
Jonathan, what Campbell failed to mention is after he bought Boston some shoes, he bought some Donald Trump sneakers.
Yeah,
as well.
nice.
They were red.
Mate,
Red for Republicans.
You look really good in it, man. Not tacky.
And Boston's got knock knees and club feet for the rest of his life. Tell you what, though, it's been a big 24 hours in footy, Deano, hasn't it?
Yeah, now, I think head knocks are going to be spoken about a lot this year, so to lighten the mood a bit while we do it, I bought some human skulls off the dark web.
Oh, beautiful.
And then
Nice.
I coated them in steel and made a steel drum kit out of them. So, while we're talking about this serious shit, I'm just playing on the skulls. It's nice.
Well, it's a big topic after Jimmy Webster's hit yesterday on Jai Simpkin, the captain of North Melbourne.
I got Brody's here. What'd you say, brother, real quick?
You'll grab. Cut.
Gets through, and this nice and late from Jimmy, just too high, leaves the ground.
Oh, no.
Well, it's been a big talking point, hasn't it? Yeah, I know Pal Pepper was suspended a couple of weeks ago, last week
4.
for the hit. He got 4 weeks, but it's obviously a big talking point at the moment, especially on their back of the Angus Brayshaw retirement after that hit that Braden Maynard got him at the MCG in that first final last year. So it's a big one. Now, everyone's talking penalties now. I've heard a range of different penalties. The most notable is David King, King's a bit of a crusader with head knocks, and, it is the right thing to do. But 10 weeks, he's been calling for 10 weeks because he thinks the players aren't getting the message. I disagree with that because Powell Pep was probably unlucky to get a month. So bigger suspensions don't necessarily change the player's behaviour. At the end of the day, I think about 6 weeks for me is right.
Yeah.
Jimmy Webster would have had massive regret on the back of it, Brown Dog, but geez, 6 weeks still is a massive penalty if he does get there. The difference between 6 and 10, I don't think the message is any different to the playing group. 6 weeks as a professional footballer, when that is your job, your livelihood, that's massive on the sidelines when you don't really see these types of things. And I know we can go to the concussion stats these days. Oh, there's more concussions than there's ever been. There's not more concussions than there's ever been. There's greater awareness of that. And it's more stringent, the test that you have to do. So the amount of reported concussions is so much greater. But I think, the league does a pretty good job, and the clubs and the players do a pretty good job of trying to mitigate the concussions as best they possibly can.
6 weeks.
Brown Dog.
6 weeks, he reckons. Say something.
I'm comfortable with 6 weeks. I think 4 would be too lenient. I think 8 to 10 would be far too harsh. 6 weeks is a massive hit. The other thing you've got to also remember, Jimmy Webster's a very good footballer, but if you're missing the first 6 weeks of the season, you're not coming straight back in round 7, right? So you'll come back through the VFL for a week or two. So that's 6 weeks.
Don't miss him. He's a good player.
Yeah, he is.
But
it's
forwards.
realistically going to be a 7 or 8 week time on the sidelines.
Speak
Jimmy.
for yourself, mate.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be coming back through the reserves.
Well, I never did, but I copped a 6-weeker once upon a time when there was loading and carryover points and all that sort of garbage. I'm glad that that's out of the AFL. It was a malicious hit, but he's not a malicious player. I think everyone would understand that Jimmy Webster, a very brave footballer, has always displayed that on the footy field. He's never got in too much trouble. He just completely got it wrong in a practice match. And the other thing that I'll say is, when the AFL spend all summer rewording things and coming out to every club and the public and saying we're going to be much harsher on concussions and these sort of incidents, you never ever want to be one of the first players that goes up. And Powell Pepper was the first, but because the player spun him around, you could argue that, but this is the first real case of, and they always come down harder.
Yeah, Preston.
Much harder.
Now, you say not a malicious player, but it was a malicious act.
Well, you jump off the ground, it's late,
question,
and he's curled up.
How do you turn that off in a split second?
Well, you can't, and you could argue that that's what's made Jimmy Webster a really good footballer for a long time, because he's had to fight tooth and nail into contests. He's brave. He's copped some massive hits himself. He's just going to have to wear this, and back in our day, that would happen often. I'm glad we're seeing it less and less and less, and I think 6 weeks is about right.
There was a brain fade by Jimmy Webster, no doubt about it, but I agree with you. He hasn't shown that he's that type of player. It can happen. You can have your brain fades.
But John, is it a brain fade, or is a guy just at a lower position?
No, mate. That
was late.
It was a brain fade. You maybe pumped up early in the game, pre-season, trying to have a good hit out before round 1. Got pumped up, over-enthusiastic. Ross Lyon and Ross the boss getting the boys focused on some of their defensive actions. So they want to all do all those things right. You get a brain fade, and you have a situation where you caught him where you have instantaneous regret. And we've had those situations where you go straight away in the game, you go,
Specifics.
Oh, shit, I shouldn't have.
When did you regret hitting someone? Hit me, go.
Well, I whacked a bloke called Lawrence Angwin, who went on to play for Adelaide and Carlton in an under-18 game. He ran through me in a marking contest, and I just went bang and coat hanging him or kinged him virtually.
Oh,
and
coward punch.
No, well, I argue there was some there was some what do you call it? Under provocation. I argue there was some provocation. I warned him about it. I said, don't do that again, and it happened again. So I followed through on that warning. Where I felt the regret was later on in that quarter when the ambulance pulled up out the front of the grandstand and he was getting loaded into the ambulance.
And his family are crying. And big Jonathan Brown's having a cigarette going, I got you, son of a bitch.
I was 18 years old and I thought, shit, I've done the wrong thing.
Did you? Yeah.
Dog.
So, I had regret.
Dog,
you would have had a similar situation.
The only thing I've ever regretted on a footy field is it was round 3 of 2011, so the Suns' first year. We had a bye in round 1, so we missed it. We played Carlton in round 2, lost by 100 points. We came to Melbourne to play Marvel Stadium in round 3, so it's my second game for the Gold Coast, right? And we needed to be more competitive than we were.
Was this
the
before
week
or after
before.
you wrote the book?
No,
The Year
in
of
the
Sun.
process of writing it. This was a big chapter in that book. And a bit like you know, I tackled Callan Ward to the ground. He was an up-and-coming young player for the Doggies. He got up. He didn't like getting dumped after he'd got rid of the ball. Sort of gave me one in the back. I said, mate, don't do that again. Yeah. And he gave me another and said, oh, what are you going to do about it? And I stopped and propped. And I did throw my elbow back just to sort of, and I got him high on the chin, knocked him out. Started an all-in melee immediately when he hit the deck. And he's as tough as they come. They call him Cement Head. I went, oh, geez, I'm in trouble here. And I wish that my elbow hit him maybe in the larynx or in the chest, not on the button.
Nice.
So I ended up getting reported 3 times that game. Another hit on Barry Hall and then another one on Jared Grant, microphone head. And
Jeez, you really filled that chapter. You've done 3 chapters.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I regretted it on a couple of fronts. I got 2 weeks
financially
for that. I got another 2 weeks for the Barry Hall one. And I got cleared of the Jared Grant hit. But it was Callan Ward's 21st that night. And because he was under the concussion protocols, he went to his 21st. And he couldn't drink and enjoy himself. So I'm sorry, Callum. I've never actually apologised, but I ruined one of your milestone birthdays.
All right, hey, bros, we're going to go take some ads or what? All right, he's silent this season. He doesn't talk, and I think we can all breathe safer. Avocado Man's coming up. We're going to talk about Melbourne, how everyone's stacked on them. Everyone's an expert on their culture and a whole lot of wankery, John. Back in a second after the ads. Welcome back to Brownies Podcast. We're all back, and you can follow us on the Instagram and all that stuff at Brownies Podcast on TikTok. We've got a whole bunch of stuff on there. Coming up, we've got Avocado Man.
I was at the game the other day, Deano, at Icon Park, the Collingwood-Richmond game, and it was an astonishing scene. Now, you just picture this man. I think his name is Joe. He's been nicely called Avocado Man. Yeah. Just sitting there, tucking into, not a pasta, not a beer, not a pie, whatever it may be, what you expect at Icon Park in the grandstands there, just tucking into an avocado. And the cameras picked it up. It was an astonishing scene.
It got a lot of play.
He goes into the annals of, there was Cheeseboard Melbourne Man, remember him?
Fraser Gehrig eating a pie. Don't forget that.
Watermelon, you remember Watermelon Boy?
Oh,
was eating the whole watermelon pips and all.
Absolutely.
And now there is Avocado Man.
The great Avocado Man. We paid 10 grand for this chat, and it's going to be worth every cent. All right, so let's talk about some. I want to talk about the D's, right? Everyone's an expert on their culture, on what Clayton Oliver does with his weekends, on their coach being sacked because he's a psycho, according to some people. What do you think?
Well, Deano, I've got a question. Okay, you're coming from a supporter's angle.
Yes.
Okay. As a supporter, do you think about all this? Do you think about all the cultural issues that go on in the off-season and the impact it's going to have on your team during the season? Or do you just disregard that? Do you not pay much attention to it?
I think they're young men who have to live their lives. For example, at Gather Round last year, this was in the season. The amount of players that played that night that we were having a drink with at clubs was astronomical. And you know this.
The difference between having a drink at a bar and going out and bending till all hours and having a drug problem.
But they're not far off, man.
Well, any of them like Campbell and Browny were those?
They're a metre away from each other.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Why?
Because
I've
you're
gone
putting yourself in a party atmosphere.
I've gone out my whole career, Deano, and had a drink and that never touched a drug. So
but you also assaulted someone outside a nightclub, so you can still put yourself in those situations.
No, there's a massive difference, though, between actively going out and taking drugs when you're a professional athlete and having a few drinks at a bar.
I think that's naive.
No, I'm living proof that it's not. And so a lot of footballers out there.
In your friendship circles, no one was doing drugs.
Of course they were, but
my point.
It's a personal choice, right? And so if you stray down that path and you get exposed or caught out or your behaviour becomes so bad that it's common knowledge, then it's your own fault. Who else can you blame?
My point is, this will never stop, right? Just let me finish. And there is a line you can have fun, but just use your head a bit. And you'll never be in the headlines.
But it is in the headlines, and now Melbourne have to
because they're not being smart.
Well, yeah, because if you're getting caught by Asada, and then you're handing your phone over, and there's incriminating WhatsApps and messages to other players, then it's your own fault. You can only blame yourself.
If Asada looked at every player's WhatsApp, everyone's going away.
But why give him cause to do that?
I'm saying
Joel Smith did that.
It's gonna happen, though. Is my point. It's going to happen.
Mate, I'm aware. I played at 2 football clubs where it went on, right? I'm fully aware of it. But you can also, on the outside looking in, say Melbourne have got a couple of issues.
Okay, now is there validity to all this Clayton stuff?
Well, I think he's had his challenges, absolutely. But I think the last month he's been pretty well behaved. I think he's been able to get himself back on track from what I'm led to believe. And he's started to play some good football. I'd expect him to be in the team for round 1 on Thursday night. He's the best player in the team. Yep. Max is obviously thereabouts. Petrarca's thereabouts. But he's won 4 best and fairest. Premiership player. He's an absolute star. So you'd expect him to be in the game against Sydney on Thursday night. Hopefully he can hold it together. Football coming back might be the best thing to straighten him up. They've had a lot of off-field issues during the year. Maybe though they've got it all out of the way, hoping if you're a Melbourne supporter, got it all out of the way in the off-season. So now they can use this to galvanise them, unify the team, and then have a strong year, because they certainly looked like that when they played against Carlton the other night. They were very good last week, Wednesday night against the Baggers, and they looked like their connection was a lot better. Angus Brayshaw's a big loss. That's been a big talking point.
That sucks.
With the whole concussion thing. And now... It's interesting, because the way it was described, Angus Brayshaw, he's had microscopic changes to his brain. And I sort of think, that doesn't sound that bad. I think it's more serious than they're letting on. Sure. The AFL's probably not that keen on, going the whole hog, because it would probably alarm everyone. But I think he's certainly had some challenges, and I think the scans have shown that he has to retire.
That sucks.
And I think eventually it'll probably come out a bit more detail down the track, Brown Dog, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. They're probably working through some legal things about potential payouts from the AFL, the AFLPA, Melbourne, all those sort of things. You just hope there was a player for West Coast Eagles, Daniel Venables.
Yeah,
that had actual brain bleeds. You hope it hasn't gone down that path for Angus.
And Venables has ongoing, really. Life isn't fun for him at the moment.
Nah, so I think, look, only he and the doctors that he spoke to and his family know what the decision-making around it was, but clearly it was the only call to make. Otherwise, as a professional athlete, you'd want to keep playing. So in terms of the rest of the Melbourne stuff, like, I don't care about what's going on at Melbourne or what's not. I don't have any issue with what the players are doing or anything, but you're allowed to ask questions, and...
it has an impact on the team, though.
It does.
Internally.
And Glenn Bartlett was their former president that asked questions 3 years ago, and they said, nothing to see here. He got moved on. They won a premiership. Again, wallpaper, you cover up the cracks of the wallpaper, maybe. And the last few years, those things have come out. And so from a media point of view and from a past player and whatever, I really hope Melbourne have a crack at winning the flag this year. I think they're more than capable of doing it. I love Max Gawn as a leader. But you can't then say, nothing to see here. They don't have any issues, because we know of 2. There's bubbling stories about 3 and 4. How many more are there? Who knows?
My point is, there's a difference between reporting and shit stirring. Also, the last 2 seasons they've gone out in straight sets, so they've got almost there. So has the club been really affected by this culture?
They were close losses.
Exactly.
They were close
Maybe
losses.
they would have won those if some of these issues weren't. We don't know, but I think as supporters, they're allowed to be upset. Journos are allowed to ask questions. People hear things on the streets. You're out and about. I just think that to try and pretend that nothing is wrong at Melbourne when clearly there is something is just naive. And they're not. If Gary Pert honestly thinks that that's the best culture he's been in 40 years, right, which he said at their best and fairest, like he's either telling porcupines.
Maxie's saying it's good culture too.
Yeah, well, it might be, but
I think it's the shake-up they'll need. I think it's a wake-up call they'll need on the back of Joel Smith testing boys, the Clayton Oliver dramas, Angus Brayshaw having to retire, all these sort of things been very public. I think it'll actually have a galvanising effect on the
The Eagles said they had a good culture too through the 2000s.
Yeah.
Look what happened.
Winning wallpapers, cracks, don't worry about that.
They're completely different.
Are they?
Are they? How do we know?
You don't.
We're stamping them as cursed. We don't
no,
really
we're not.
know.
No, but we just, the people that are in the administration and the captain and the CEO and they have to say it's a good culture, as if they're going to come out and say it's a bad culture. It's then when they leave.
But what if it is a good
someone
culture?
else comes in and goes,
And
actually,
what if it is and they're saying it is?
They don't have the right to say it's not good. Yes, there's some issues, but we don't know. We're not behind the 4 walls. That is the big thing. but you are entitled to ask questions.
But I think it's been a big chance for them to clean themselves up over the off-season and look deeply and more, look closer at some of these issues going on. Joel Smith happened last year. The Joel Smith situation happened late in the year. Obviously, Clary's had his challenges for quite a while. So I reckon it's given the club chance or pause to just go, right, we need to actually really drill down on whether there really is issues or not. And obviously give a warning to the players, and they'll be on their best behaviour. Don't worry about that. Yeah. And because also, too, I think this playing group would have realised that they don't want to get to the end of this window with only one premiership. Yeah. They're more talented than one premiership team.
Absolutely.
That All-Australian talent, potential Hall of Fame talent in there.
The last 4 finals games they've lost, that must play into you.
And it was the COVID year when, it affected a lot of clubs. So AFL premiership will never have an asterisk, but you could go, geez.
I know what you mean, man.
But the other thing is, though, I want to go up there, I want to stand in front of the playing group and go, look how close we were to the eventual premiers. Like they were close finals losses, boy. So you shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yep. All right, Freo, real quick.
Should have got rid of one of Jackson or Darcy, or not should have got rid of. Why are they both on the same team together? Like I would have loved Geelong to go hard at Sean Darcy, get in there. Luke Jackson's there. We know he's a star as well, but how are they going to coexist? And they're eating up a truckload of salary cap. We saw it with the Max Gawn. Brody Grundy situation. So that's the question mark for me. But they're under a hell of a lot of pressure.
Freo, you any good or what?
They should go okay.
Yeah. I watch West Coast in their practice
I'm not too invested in Freo this year at the moment.
Well, I watch West Coast and they still look like boys. It's going to be a long year.
Hey, the Bulldogs for me are a really interesting one. Riley Sanders. How exciting to have the number 6 draft pick. He looks like an absolute star. He could have the Nick Dacos. He could be like Nick Dacos coming through now. The effect he could have on his team.
You're forgetting how they ended last year. Very limp,
But
John.
they've got a lot of talent. And they can bounce. They can bounce just like the Pies did at the end of 21 when they had that ordinary year. Bucks end up leaving. They came good and played a preliminary final. Then were the premiers on the back of Nick Dacos arriving.
Campbell.
I know the AFL have copped a little bit of criticism around round 0, which is coming up this week.
I need that explained to me what it is, by the way.
Well, what it is the AFL have taken the opportunity that Peter V'landys opened up by taking the 2 games out of Queensland and New South Wales for round 1 of the NRL and taking it to Vegas, which I watched on the weekend, and it was great.
Good crowd?
I would have loved to have gone over there and played in Vegas.
Good crowd?
Good crowd, yeah. By reports, there was 35,000, 40,000 there.
Sick.
Good games. But the AFL saw that as an opportunity, right? In 2 states that, they lose a bit of traction.
Yep.
Sydney, Brisbane. So they went, you know what, Peter V'landys, you can do your thing over there, right? We will then almost hijack the SCG and the Gabba and those stadiums that they wouldn't have had access to.
Yep.
And play games there. They get a free hit and they've got sellout stadiums up there as well. And yes, the Victorian-centric crowd are a bit upset that it's not Richmond and Carlton on Thursday night, which is iconic and everything. That'll still happen. That'll still draw a massive crowd. I think everyone's just excited that footy's back. I don't think it's diluted it. And if the AFL can make inroads up there and make money, in the end of the day, that's what the game is for. It's a truly national game.
It's about capitalism.
Of course it is.
I've just got one question for you. So we're talking about hijacking the NRL and taking over so when the cat's away, the mice can play. So the NRL games were actually yesterday. So the whole industry, the NRL industry, was in Las Vegas yesterday, as in last weekend. So if we're going to hijack NRL territory, why didn't we have games on there?
This week, yeah.
Why weren't the AFL games on that weekend?
Good point.
So this weekend, when the AFL games start, the NRL is back and in full swing, and they've got all the games.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like that concept just didn't quite make sense to me.
Speaking of, yes.
And now, while there's no games here in Melbourne, Melbourne Storm play here on Friday night in Melbourne, and then Gold Coast got the big game against Richmond on Saturday afternoon.
Out there.
Guess what? Guess who's playing just down the road? The Gold Coast Titans.
Really?
So, you know what I mean?
What?
Like
Yeah.
just that part of it, just for me, it just seems like maybe the AFL game should have started a week early while the NRL's away.
Real quick
I'm
on
absolutely in love with Peter V'landys.
Yeah, I know you love him because
If-
he's a gambling icon.
If Kerry Packer was still alive,
Yeah.
he's my god, my doyen of everything that is right in Australia in this world.
Yeah.
He just didn't give a stuff and he wielded his power. Peter V'landys is my love child.
What a positive hero to have for the world.
I love him.
Yeah.
He just runs
Well, he
racing
gets-
and
Yeah.
NRL with an iron fist, and he
just-
does great things. He makes big, bold decisions.
and
I
takes
want-
people's money.
I want to meet him,
and
I want to
ruins
do a
families.
thesis
And,
on him.
He gets shit done.
hey, okay, does he? Great, he's a hero.
Tell you what else
Speaking
gets
of
shit
Vegas,
done.
speaking of Vegas, it's so embarrassing. This is why Australian media is embarrassing. On Sunrise, Matt Shervington had the Las Vegas chief of police on.
Yes.
And I thought it was just going to be a puff piece about the Vegas experience. But Matt Shervington was interviewing him like, what are you going to do to protect our players? What? How does Vegas need protection? No, how does the players need protection from Las Vegas? Is it the other way
the
around?
NRL protected them because 3 of the teams they didn't bring in until the night before the game.
A lot of things can happen
They
in
left
Vegas.
him in Los Angeles.
Smart decision.
This is so cringe. Anyway, bro, do you want to go? Any other teams you want to touch on before we get to Avocado Man? Mate, this better be. Joe, is that you, brother, Joe? Is that you, man?
Is that Campbell?
That's Deano. Hey, Joe.
Joe!
Welcome to Brownie's podcast.
How you going, pal?
You've been thrust into the limelight due to your
I don't
avocado.
believe it. There's a lot of fuss, mate, over eating an avocado at the footy.
Joe, I'm going to go in first here. I witnessed you, quite frankly, make love to that avocado, and I've never been more aroused in my life. Tell us about your long love affair with the humble avocado.
Oh, well, it just I've been consuming them for a while, mate. They're very, very good for you.
Yep, good for your heart.
Joe,
They're good for your heart, yeah. Good for your cardiovascular, yep.
Joe, we were at the footy the other night when it first happened. You became a national superstar, if not a global superstar, chowing into your avocado during the Collingwood Richmond game.
Yeah.
What motivated you to bring that along? Because if you are a Richmond supporter or a Collingwood supporter, it's sort of, you would say, not stereotypical behaviour from you types.
No,
Most of you don't have any teeth.
I actually don't follow either of those two teams.
Who do you go for?
One of my customers is he plays at Collingwood, and he'd asked me a couple of days earlier to pop down there and have a look at his work if I was free, and so that's how I came to be at Icon Park. The reason why I was having an avocado in the afternoon, late in the afternoon, was I do a little bit of fasting, 1 or 2 meals a day in a 4-hour window, and it was that time of the day where I had to have something to eat. and I rolled in there with an avocado.
I love you. I love you.
Mate, it's the best way to eat it.
I agree with you, Joe. I actually do something similar, but how many avocados do you have a day and a week?
I try to have one every day.
Yep.
One a day
wouldn't
keeps the
I
doctor
wouldn't
away.
eat more than one a day. But there's always one around, always one at arm's length.
What's your favourite avocado?
I don't know if I have a favourite, but it's got to be an Australian avocado.
Yep.
Yeah.
Haas.
Joe, you know how there's the Haas one, and then the other one is slightly more waxy. I think the wax
Shepherd.
The Shepherd's a little more waxy. Joe, your
It
thoughts?
is.
Oh, I don't know, mate.
Okay.
I don't look at it in that much detail.
He's not a
Fair
connoisseur.
So what I
good answer.
sometimes do, Joe, is I'll cut open an avocado. I'll twist it so I get the bit without the
Without the nut?
the nut. I'll just gently go around it just to eat a little bit around it so I deepen the hole a bit.
Deep in that hole.
Yeah.
I get ocha dressing, right, which is like a Japanese ponzu type dressing that you sometimes find on dumplings.
At this point, you're deep in the hole.
Yeah, and I pour it in,
Yeah.
and then I get some beautiful grated cheese.
Yes.
The new Cheers cheese, and I put that in there, right?
Oh, boy.
And then I also
Yeah.
will eat an avocado very similar. Is there anything that you add to the avocado? Balsamic vinegar?
You
or anything
typically
like
do that at home, though, not at Icon Park.
Sometimes I'll fill the divot with some high protein cottage cheese or some tuna or salmon
God
or
bless you.
something along those lines.
Unbelievable.
We're in real bus
Joe's
fat
is the
territory.
best
We're in real bus fat
Yeah,
territory
that's
here.
fat territory
Don't-
for sure.
don't
He's
ask
a
what that is,
specimen,
Joe.
isn't
Come
he?
down to the Tower Hotel, mate, and I'll get one ready for you.
Yes.
I heard
All
you're a
three of
Republican,
us should
Joe.
go down there and have an avocado with
I'll put
Joe.
a half an avocado on the top of your massive Palmer.
Joe, are you serious? You'll do that for us? You'll make these...
Of course I will, mate.
Brody, you'll tee this up?
Now, where are we, Joe? The Tower Hotel, which?
Yeah.
There's a lot of Tower
They'd
hotels.
be in Hawthorne.
Yeah, there's one in Hawthorne East, Jono. You know where it is. You've
I
been
know
through
where
it.
you... I've been through the bottle shop a few
Yes,
times
you
there,
have,
Joe.
you have.
Grant
Yep.
Birchall and Clinton Young used to live opposite it for
Yeah, I
years
think
and
they've
years
got
and years.
we've got a monument here with those two boys somewhere.
Okay, how about we come in for lunch, Joe?
Yeah, man.
And you're going to
Anytime,
serve
mate.
us up a nice little bit of avocado on top of the Parmigiana.
on top of the Palmer, your best Palmers in Melbourne.
That's a deal, mate. Thank you, Joe. You're a
You
beautiful
only
man.
need to ask. You only need to ask your good friend, my great friend, Ross Tamacho, and his son Dante.
I know,
Both
Roscoe.
the Smasher Palmer.
Dante
there we go.
Tamacho, one of the great men.
Roscoe got us into the mahogany room. Remember on our Christmas party last time?
Joe,
He's a good man.
thanks, man. we
Thanks,
love
Joe.
you.
All right, pal.
See you,
I'll talk
mate.
to you.
Thanks for your time.
I love that
That's
guy.
good.
All right, ads back in a second. It's Brownies Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Brownies Podcast and on TikTok at Brownies Podcast. Welcome back to Brownies Podcast. Hit us up on socials at Brownies Podcast. We love you. It's good to be back. Degenerates in our WhatsApp thread. We love you.
We've had a
John.
great off-season, Deano, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's been so much fun. Where my kid Jackie Brown and the Adventures of Jack Brown. Here's another one for you. Yesterday surfing. The great Mick Fanning just wanders down the beach and out surfing amongst the kids.
For
About-
real?
About 5 kids out there. I said to him, mate, you realise that was Mick Fanning? He goes, yeah, I know. He goes, he pushed me into one of the waves.
That's
I
awesome,
go,
man.
mate, show some appreciation for the triple world champ.
You got pushed by greatness.
Pushed by greatness. And also remind him, remember, Mick, we went to Charlie Keno's place after the grand final?
I still can't believe that,
That's
man.
gone.
I still
That is
can't
gone.
believe it.
And remember, I got a letter in my mailbox a week later when we went in the bottle shop and my credit card didn't work.
Bounced.
It bounced. My credit card bounced. And the owner of the Riversdale Hotel, the Riversdale Hotel, he came in to understand why the till didn't balance up the next day, and he checked the video surveillance cameras. And me and Mick Fanning and about 20 other people in there. Anyway, I reminded Mick about that. That was good. But I got a question.
Yes.
Quick tidy up. You did climb the highest mountain in the Americas last year.
We had attempted to,
You
yeah.
attempted to climb it. Now, I'm just interested because Brody, I got this text from Broads about the time, the couple of weeks afterwards, where Broads has texted me and said, "Oh my God, did you see Dog didn't make it up the mountain? That's another failed physical challenge. Can't swim, can't hike."
Brody, I know you're not on the mic much. But did you say that, yes or no?
Oh, that's slanderous comment from you. I didn't know that was going to be reread, but that is true now that haven't gone ahead in the off-season trips.
Well, they've gone ahead. They just haven't been completed the way I would have liked.
Campbell,
it's interesting you left off the Antarctic Ice Marathon that I completed, Mount Kilimanjaro that I completed, and some of the other adventures that I've done. But yeah, you're right. When you do these extreme attempts at altitude in the one of the toughest swims of all time, sometimes weather.
Yeah.
Mother Nature plays a bit of a role. You need a fraction of luck.
Hey, I don't want to start this year with bad blood between you. Now, the energy between you in this room is negative. John, are you seeing it?
I can see it. I
wouldn't-
love it, though. It's great entertainment.
Now,
I would
apologise
never
to
say
Campbell.
fail. I would never say fail because the journey up to where we got to was magnificent.
Apologise.
Yes, I didn't summit, but it was never looked at as a failure from me or anyone in my camp.
Apologise.
Congrats on making it halfway.
I tell you, another achievement he failed was the full moon party where he got arrested.
Fail.
He
That's
didn't
an
make it through.
Oh, well, he failed that. I'll tell you who failed more. My chaperone, Simon Fletcher, who was meant to get everyone home safely.
Are we doing this? Oh, by the way, Collingwood fans, I'm sorry we haven't mentioned you, but you know you're the best at the moment. You're killing it. I hate to admit that I love you and the team. I love
we
I
love
love
the whole
Ned.
team.
I love their new
Ned,
president.
Dacos, Fly, everyone.
You're flying, so we're not going to talk about you until you stuff up.
Yes.
That's not true. We'll talk about you.
What
next
a
week.
world.
What a world. The favourite segment on this podcast.
Well,
now,
okay.
all of us growing up would have been
Isn't the favourite?
I think it's the fans' favourite.
good news.
I wouldn't
You know.
mind. Actually, degenerates, would you mind give us some feedback as to whether this is your favourite segment of the podcast?
Please continue.
So I'd like a segment to come up down the track, maybe a monthly feedback session.
So would I.
This could be the start of it. Is this your favourite?
So would I.
The amount of feedback I get, I have just naturally assumed that it's everyone's favourite segment. And all of us here as kids growing up, whether you're female or male or whatever, have been dacked, right?
Yeah.
Been dacked. You've been standing there and your pants have been pulled down. Croft did it to Sam Newman on the footy show on live TV.
We saw his old pecker.
His whistle.
Yeah, his whistle.
Former South Australian trainer Todd Balfour has been
Horse trainer.
disqualified for 5 years. 5 years he's copped for dacking a racing South Australian compliance officer in front of patrons at the Kangaroo Island Racecourse in February.
Astonishing behaviour.
Now, the Balfour name in South Australian racing's legendary. He's the son of the late trainer David, brother
Did they come
Ryan.
on with Balfour's pies as well?
Didn't come up with Balfour's pies, but he pleaded guilty
Great question from you.
to a charge of engaging in improper conduct, right? At 7 p.m. on the 16th of February, the Racing South Australian compliance officer was conducting breath ELISA testing at the request of a handful of patrons. The official was doing this. Balfour approached him from behind and without consent, he pulled down his pants and in doing so fully exposed him from the waist down to numerous parties. They had a investigation. He's caught 5 years for an old-fashioned dacking. What a world.
Wow!
When has anyone ever given their consent to be dacked?
Great point. And I will say this, though, Brownie, there's a big difference between a dacking jocks only, but a raw dog dack. That's a whole new world.
You think it deserves 5 years?
Mate.
Probably does. That's astonishing behaviour. what came into his mind?
I don't know, but see us in 2029. That's when he's allowed back at the racetrack.
It's
Hey, gang,
unbelievable.
we'll see you Friday. We're back. Follow us at Brownie's Podcast. We love you.